You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome to Save a Pooch on Pet Life Radio. I am Beverly Isla, your host. Thank you for tuning in. So this show is dedicated to those who have experienced the loss of their canine pets, particularly those who have cared for and taken rescue dogs under their wing. And it can be a difficult topic for some, but unfortunately, all pet parents do have to face it at some point. So today's guest, we have Wendy Van De Poll. She's the founder of Center for Pet Loss Grief. She holds numerous credentials in the healing arts, coaching. She's a best-selling author, animal communications, to name a few. Our second guest is Brenda Harney. She is the co-founder and VP of Tiny Paws Dog Rescue. And she's had the wonderful experience of fostering, can you believe it, over 700 dogs in the past 16 years. So both Wendy and Brenda have tremendous experience in today's topic, and I look forward to hearing their insights. So when we get back from these messages, we will have Wendy and Brenda come on and talk to us about pet loss and what is involved in going through that process as a caregiver.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit DesignerPetSweaters.com to order your 4-legged fashions today. Large or small, we fit them all. DesignerPetSweaters.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Save a Pooch. We are talking with Wendy Van De Poll, founder of Center for Pet Loss Grief, and Brenda Harney, VP of Tiny Paws Dog Rescue. I appreciate you guys coming on today. I think you both are the perfect pair to talk about the topic of pet loss. So why don't we start with Wendy? How did you get into the area of helping others deal with the loss of their pets? Because that's a particular arena, I guess.
It is. It definitely is. And I get that question. That's probably the most asked question that I get.
I bet.
And they, people don't quite know how to react to me sometimes because I do the work I do. I basically got started in it because when I was doing my wolf research out in Minnesota, I had, was faced with a lot of injured animals and wolves that have died. So that was like those little light bulbs started to go off because I saw how people were reacting. But it wasn't until I left that profession and went into massage therapy for humans, horses, and hounds that it just kind of happened. You know how those things just kind of happen to you and you're not planning it? And my clients were calling me saying, I have a dog, I have a cat, I have a horse that is dying. I just got the news from the vet that it's dying, and I want to do something really special.
Right.
So that's how it basically started for me, and I found that that's where my gift lies, is not only helping dogs, cats, horses, whatever, transition from physical to spiritual, because I've been at many euthanasias and things like that, but I've also found that I was helping people not give them a safe place, for goodness sakes. People, oh my gosh, you can get another cat, you can get another dog, there's so many dogs that need homes out there, you can get another one. And yeah, we can, but it's a family member. So that's how it basically happened, Beverly. And I became a life coach, and then I was able to find someone that was coaching, certifying people in end of life and grieving.
In humans at first.
Yes, to humans.
Okay.
I stayed with him, but what he did for me, which was amazing, it was a 15-month program. Because I wasn't interested in working with people hospice, is he tailored it so that I could do my pet work. That's kind of like the quick and dirty, just how I got to where I am. And then I just started, people were, my clients call me, my cat is dying, what do I do? My dog is dying, what do I do? My dog has died. So those are the titles of my book.
Yeah.
And they basically take you by the hand and help people go through that process of making decisions and not feeling weird in society and how to navigate.
That's awesome that at least you can be by their side while that happens. But were you in animal communications before or after?
Before. It was one of those things, again, it's like I was really a skeptic. And I had, as I was doing massage, I remember this one horse in particular. Animals have always talked to me, but I kind of always thought that was normal and not something. And then it became something, haters, and I'm like, yeah, right. And I was massaging a horse, and this horse was, I get this sense that they wanted him to be a hunter-jumper. He didn't want to be a hunter-jumper. And they were just doing some crazy things, playing the foxhorn over and over and over to try to desensitize him and all, doing all just crazy stuff. And as I was working on him, he said, I do not want to do that. I like dressage. This is what I was hearing, and I'm going, oh, goodness gracious, I'm really going nuts now. Well, long story, he was rehomed, and he went to live with somebody with dressage, and all his weird behaviors went away, and he excelled in his work, and that's when I became, okay.
You got to add that in. Well, that gives you yeah, exactly. That'll give you an edge anyways, right? Over numerous areas.
Yeah. So I do use in my intuition, and in my work with people, and because that's important.
Oh, big time. I totally understand that. Yep. So I want to address the area of rescue dogs and what caregivers and foster volunteers deal with emotionally. So Brenda, I'm gonna shoot the baton over to you. You've been a foster for over 700 dogs, and that means having to say bye to over 700 dogs, whether it be because they got adopted or they had to cross the Rainbow Bridge to doggy heaven. But what is your experience with that, and how do you deal with it? Like, how do you cope with some of the really unfortunate sad histories of these dogs?
Well, quite often we all do a lot of crying. And sometimes I think I've cried more for animals than I have for many humans. But a lot of it is just patience and time and trying to look forward. And when it's a really hard one, you just keep telling myself that the next one. I'll save the next one. And one more and one more.
That's hard. Hard.
The adoptions, they're much easier, especially when I got involved with the adoption process. Once I started to do reference checks to the adopters, and then actually did home visits to make sure that it was a clean and a safe environment. Then I could almost get excited for the dog when I saw what a wonderful home it was going to be.
Okay,
And I keep in touch a little bit with the adopters. That made it much easier to know that my house was always kind of a crazy because there were so many dogs. And I thought, this little guy or girl's going to a nice, peaceful home where they are the center of the universe for that family.
Yeah.
That's what made it easier for me once I had that understanding.
That is true. The adoption part would be that would be easier than the other tragic parts.
Yes. Now, the putting dogs down will never
Oh, gosh. I
turned myself inside out many times. But it all depends a lot of times on the circumstances. I just let an elderly poodle go in June,
Oh, sorry about that.
She'd been what we call a foster forever, knowing that they weren't really adoptable, but yet physically she was doing fine, so we just keep them on in the foster home. And we just keep going until, just to make sure that she's happy and she's healthy. Mm-hmm. And then finally the time came that it wasn't that way anymore. And when I take them in, I stay with them the whole time, but I also let myself feel that there's nothing a dog loves better than to sleep. So I call it just the forever sleep. And I just hold them until we go through the process and just let them know that we'll see them again one day and have a good sleep. Mm-hmm. So they're tough, but you know you've done everything you can for them, and it's just almost like they're asking you to let them go.
This is a perfect time for Wendy to pipe in.
Yes, I have tears in my eyes. Listen, Brenda. Oh, yeah. So yes, euthanasia is. I like the way Brenda has participated in the euthanasias.
Yeah, Brenda, you're one strong woman. I just gotta tell you that.
Yeah,
I owe them that much. I always tell myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I find with the people I work with, my clients, this is probably the toughest decision there is. And because it comes with so much baggage, really, guilt, depression, regret, all those feelings of grief that are normal. But to make such a definite decision. And there's always two questions that are really important that I stress with my people is asking yourself, how do you know the time is right? And when is the best time? Those kind of sound similar, but they're not. They are different. The right time that's a tough one to answer without any doubt. Yeah. Or questioning if your answer is correct. Getting the veterinarian's opinions, to things like quality of life, if the dog is in pain, the dog can't walk or respond, just myriad of reasons. I also encourage, especially people in rescue, is to ask each other, if you have meetings, check-in meetings, and you're talking about a particular dog, is to get support from each other. Like, what do you think? How, what are you going through with this decision? Just so that it's so important during euthanasia and grief is to not put yourself in a position of feeling alone. And rescue folks, organizations, if they're healthy, the people can get along and all that kind of stuff. It's basically a built-in support, which is great.
But with Brenda, with Tiny Paws, these decisions are made primarily with the board, right?
Yes, where there is a board, 6 members in the board. But usually it comes down to just 2 or 3 members.
Oh.
And it's not something that's done quickly. It may be something we've talked about over a couple of months when we start seeing the signs.
Yeah, that's great.
And then we talk to each other about it, and then it finally comes down to, well, we trust you that you will know when the right time comes. Mm-hmm. And we try and all do it together. Other times it's when it comes down to aggression, dogs that are biting. Those are the really hard ones. Those are the ones that just rip your heart out. Somebody has to do the decisions on those, and we try and do them as a group as well.
And you know what, too? This might sound a little out there, but I believe, too, whether I'm working with a rescue group with, a particular case or, one-on-one with a client, it's ask the dog, too. Bring the dog into the conversation, There are signs.
Yes.
There are signs. Yes. We're all dog people here. We can, and this is not woo-woo. This is not about animal communication or anything like that. This is about being aware. This is about being aware of that particular dog's energy, the essence of that dog, what that dog is putting out to the world. How comfortable is that dog in its own skin? And when rescue folks are in that conversation, it's important to kind of bring the dog in and say, what would Ralphie want? How is Ralphie what signs is he giving us that he's not comfortable in this world, that his anxiety and his anger and his aggression or his history is so unbearable for him that he, like Brenda said, dogs love to sleep. He just would love to have a long, peaceful sleep. So I always encourage that, is ask the animal to look at the behavior of the animal and how they have chosen or are reacting to their environment.
Hold that thought, because I do have a question. We're just going to go on a quick break, and when we get back, we'll continue talking with Wendy and Brenda about the topic we tend to avoid, which is pet loss grief.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
She was thrown out of a pickup truck.
Somebody threw him out of a car and shattered his leg.
They found her walking on the streets.
Many have been abused, malnourished, eating garbage.
Scabs, itching, licking, missing fur.
There's this commercial on TV that the ASPCA does. They want you to send in $19 a month for a dog in the shelter. I think you should go and adopt a dog from the ASPCA and then get that dog on Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com. You don't need to spend thousands on vet bills.
The answer is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa. The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
When you rescue a dog, you've got to feed him right for life. Every rescue deserves at least 90 days of Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Dinovite is nutrition.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you having trouble getting the word out about your new pet product or invention? Let Whitegate PR open the gate to your marketing and public relations efforts. We've been specializing in public relations in the pet industry for over a decade. From press releases to media relations and publicity to pet trade shows and launch events to social media, the pet-friendly team at Whitegate PR has you covered. If you listen to the wise words of Bill Gates, he says, "If I had $1 left, I'd spend it on PR." Learn more at whitegatepr.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Save a Pooch. We are talking with Center for Pet Loss Grief founder Wendy Van De Poll and Tiny Paws Dog Rescue VP Brenda Harney. So before the break, we were just talking about paying attention to our dogs and what do they really want. But Wendy, what if we don't know what to look for?
Right. That's always a good question. Because sometimes our grief is so crazy, and it's we're so involved in the chaos in the grief.
Exactly. Like, are we sure it's not what we want, what we don't want?
Right. I could safely say, with all the people that I have worked with, that it might be a moment. There might be just like a second or a millisecond where you get that intuitive gut feeling like this is the right thing to do. Right, Brenda?
Yeah.
And, and it might be the way the dog looks at you. It might be the way the dog breathes. It might just be something very, very simple. And of course, you take into consideration what what the veterinarians are saying and everything.
Right.
And, the behaviorists are saying too. So it does take a team. It's the hardest thing to do, and there's no definite answer. There's no protocol. It doesn't come with a manual. Every case, right? Every case is different. And I just, animals are here, no matter how aggressive the animal, how sweet the animal is. Every animal that comes into our lives. Brenda has had the opportunity to have 700 animals come into her life. And they each have a lesson for us. It can be tiny, 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 or it can be huge life lessons. but they all have a reason to be with us.
And, absolutely.
Oh, right? And so it's the awareness. It's building awareness. So people like Brenda and other rescue people and people like me that work with death, my best advice is to not look for the exact protocol to follow, because there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Is go for the ride, go for the roller coaster ride. Understand, learn as much as you can, because to be rescue safe or end of life safe or grief safe, the more knowledge you have about what is normal, your normal feelings, and what is the normal process, that's going to help with the aftershock, so to speak. So when you have that wonderful dog that came through rescue and can't understand, it's been in foster, and why isn't it getting adopted? And, and then euthanasia decision has to happen because the dog is aggressive and all of that. If we have as people, and it's not easy because it's such a hard lesson, is if the more we know about that, the fact that we are going to be depressed, we might eat a box of cookies, we might get really angry and throw a pillow across the room, but those are all normal feelings because these decisions are hard.
Yeah. Brenda, do you ever come across fosters that they struggle with if they ever foster someone and they had to be? I mean, I was one of them, but have you ever come across other fosters that had to deal with that?
All the time, and
ouch.
There's many times I've often said, we'll send the dog down to me. I'll do it. Just because I always feel that I want to be there for them, even if it's those last few moments. And even when it's been a dog that has bitten me a number of times, I still want to be there for them as much as possible at those last few moments. And I've agonized it for many years, and sometimes I still do. I still have those thoughts that, am I murdering this poor soul? What is the right thing to do? But then it just seems to come to me that, yes, I am doing the right thing. This poor animal is suffering, and it wants a peaceful ending, and that is my responsibility.
Yes. Wow. Good for you, Brenda.
I know. Wow. Yeah. Can I ask Brenda a question?
Absolutely.
So, Brenda, I mean, listening to you and listening to that promise that you make to animals, is wonderful. You're definitely an angel. How do you keep yourself healthy? How do you take care of yourself so you don't get burned out or have so much grief? You have stuck grief. The grief doesn't go away, and it becomes part of your soul. So what do you do to take care of yourself?
Well, I have been burnt out, and thankfully it's the membership and friends and relationships I've built through the membership that help me through those times when I feel horrible, where I feel like I'm a murderer, and maybe I'm wrong this time. You second guess yourself all the time, and I just have to look back at experience and thinking, Brenda, you have to do it. This dog's begging you to make his or her life better.
Right.
So I don't know if there is an easy way to get around it, but it does eat away at you after a while.
It does. It does. Yeah. But it sounds like you're doing something very good for yourself, and is that you don't isolate yourself. You talk to your support group.
Yes. And I let them know how lousy I'm feeling, and they cry right along with me.
Great.
And that helps a lot too. And we are the crazy dog people.
Right.
I use that term all the time, that I'm sure there are some people who think we're absolutely certifiable.
Of course, but who cares?
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially when it comes to your own children who think you're certifiable. And I have a son that said to me once that I treat the dogs better than I treated them.
Right.
And I said, well, that's funny because those dogs treat me better than you.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. That's one of the biggest myths. I mean, there's so many myths around pet loss, and one of the common ones that come, like what you just expressed, is that people feel that it's selfish. Somebody might say to you, oh, it's selfish or extravagant to mourn, or grieve, the death of that dog when our world has so much human suffering. Well, hello. We're people, human beings we're capable of simultaneously grieving both animals and humans, and one doesn't have to detract from the other.
No.
So I see it as the fact that you can do the work that you're doing, and other rescue people can dedicate their lives, their souls, their heart, their blood, sweat, and tears for doing what you're doing, showing grief and mourning and helping. You're just showing that you have tremendous compassion for the world.
Yeah.
And, I'd like us to see, the world celebrate people like that, like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit, but, yes, and this doesn't mean to be disrespectful, but look at what humans do. We go to war, and we glorify that so much, but what about the people like you and the other people that rescue and the other people that just have to make you guys are not celebrated enough.
No, and you do get used to that. I've had many humans ask me, why do I spend so much time helping dogs when I should be helping humans?
Yeah.
And at one time I didn't have an answer for that, but I do now, because I see the love and the strength that these animals give people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that made it so much easier for me to deal with once I realized I wasn't neglecting the human race, I was helping the human race.
Exactly.
And a dog right along with it.
Yeah.
So, there's so much that we can do and can't do that it's one day at a time for me.
Right. And too, is our dogs, they give us, we hear this over and over again, our dogs give us 100% unconditional love.
Oh, yeah.
And, I have people that love me and I love people, but it always comes with an expectation or a condition or something.
That's right.
So,
dogs can too, because I always think I still love them, even when they've pooped on my carpet.
Oh, I know.
You just look the other way and say, okay, they have taught me patience.
Yes.
There's no bad intentions in there, Brenda.
No. Well,
not.
Maybe occasionally.
Well, ladies, we are out of time. But really quick before I wrap things up, in your opinion, Brenda, do you think something like grief support would benefit like the foster volunteers so they're, I guess, better equipped to handle losing a foster dog? What's your take on that?
I think if they're not getting enough help from the rest of the membership, I think, that is good. It's a very valuable tool because it does happen all the time. But I think, it's a valuable tool for us to have that support.
That's awesome. Well, Wendy, your work is definitely needed, Wendy.
I know. And I'm so glad that I'm here.
Thank you both.
If you want
to take a look at Wendy's work, simply go to centerforpetlossgrief.com. And you can check out all her credentials, what she does, and do reach out to her if you are experiencing grief over pet loss. For Tiny Paws Dog Rescue, their website is tpdr.ca, and that's tpdr.ca. And that is what Brenda's working up to now. Lastly, Wendy, you just launched your book, right?
Yes.
Tell us, what is it called? Where can we find it?
Okay. I launched my third book. This one's on cats. It's called My Cat is Dying, What Do I Do? And it just won a Reader's Favorite 5-star award. But book one is a pet bereavement series. And my first two are My Dog is Dying, and the other one is My Dog Has Died. They're both all available in Kindle and paperback, and you can go right to Amazon or go through my website. They're on my website too.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Wendy and Brenda, so much for talking to us, and our show producer, Mark Winter, for making this show possible. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for a show, please email me at beverly@petliferadio.com. So until next time, spread animal compassion.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.